Alright, welcome to a new show that I'm starting called the Iron Fist Classics. Yes, detailing some of the early stuff right now just for Iron Fist, okay? And no, I'm not starting issue 1 for Iron Fist. I'm actually starting with his debut appearance. Well, I'm covering the first 3 issues of his first 3 appearances, well, overall in a way. Covering issues 15 to 17 of Marvel Premiere. Here is issue 15. This is the first appearance of the character. Now, it is written by Roy Thomas, who was also the creator of the character, and Gail Kane. Early on, the creative team kept changing. Like every issue is like different writer creative team, but once Doug Moa came on board, which he starts on with issue I think 17, he stays on for a little while before hands off to a different writer. Now, this story is called The Fury of Iron Fist, where it starts off with Iron Fist just get some goons, some students, where he fights them for a couple of pages, and he fights them for several pages, and once he defeats them, he says that the guy who's supposed to be the leader, Kunlun, who was actually his uncle. Yes, Iron Fist's uncle. Now, Ed Brubaker would later have a version of this character. I don't know if it's the same guy. It might be. He's a complete jerk in the Immortal Iron Fist series. Yep. And then basically, yeah, this is basically, yeah, because he's trained enough. He's completed his training. He said you can go back home. You can leave Kunlun, and basically we cut away to a flashback of his backstory. Now, this is a series of flashbacks that they would explore over the course of the Marvel Premiere for about the first half of the run, then they stop it. Where they show that they flashback 10 years prior to the events of the present day, where you have Wendell Randall, and Harold Magnum, along with Heather, Iron Fist, basically Iron Fist's parents, basically walking through us looking for Kunlun, and looking for Kunlun, and then they're just walking through the snow, and then Mr. Magnum, Harold Magnum, cuts Wendell Randall's rope, basically causing him to die, and then and it turns out that Harold Magnum was actually in love with Heather. He was actually in love with Heather for years, and despite the fact that despite the fact that Heather never loved him, basically. Yeah, she turns against him and she throws rocks at him, and they get away. And the flashback kind of ends like right there. And then we see Iron Fist has one last opponent before he leaves. This guy called Shuhu, and he says he's taking a vow of silence, fists like thunderbolts. And then they get into a fight, which lasts for a pretty good amount of pages, 3 pages. And we go back to the flashback, where it picks up right where the flashback left off, where Heather and Danny are running away from Harold, and they are also starting to get chased by wolves. And they keep running, and they're surprised to see a bridge, and then they spot the wolves, and they hurry across the bridge, and because they don't know if I don't know, because Heather wants to prevent the wolves from harming Danny, so she sacrifices herself in order to save Danny. And then, then this one guy comes out of nowhere and shoots the wolves, and of course Danny sort of mourns the death of his mother, and then he's taken back to Kunlun. But that's that flashback ends. And then it goes back to the fight where apparently this guy can shoot knives out of his hands. and then he just hits him so hard, he knocks off the guy. He just beats him up. And then it turns out this ninja, this huge guy, is actually just a robot. Yep. And then the issue ends. Basically, says, choose immortality and death. And then we cut away to issue 16 of Marvel Premiere, where Danny's in New York, and we got a new writer, Len Wein. Though Roy Thomas is still on here as a co-plotter, but the pencils. Interesting fact about who does the artwork in here. Larry Hama, the guy who's known for writing G.I. Joe American Hero. This is one of his earliest works that he did as an artist, because the guy is both right. He's good at both writing and artwork, but he doesn't always do both. A lot of time he just does more writing nowadays than artwork. But yeah, so we have Iron Fist just walking through New York like he just got there, and then pretty much like he's walking past through an alley. Then these 4 guys just want to attack him because there's this bounty put on his head. Then attack him, then fight. He beats him up. And then we flash back to right where the previous issue's flashbacks left off, where the guy who saved Danny from the wolves comes to Kunlun. And basically he's introduced to the leader, Jade. He says she lost the parents, and one lose her parents. And he says that trying to make Danny happier. He says one thing, like, if there's anything, he says he only wants revenge. So he trains with this guy, Lee Kong, the Thunderer. Yeah, this guy is Danny's mentor. And yes, I do know that he gets killed off at the start of the Iron Fist Living Weapons series. How he dies is quite unusual, to say the least. And so there's a montage of the Thunderer training Danny, who apparently decided to shave his head. Well, actually, it's shown here in the montage. First he shaves his head, and he starts training. And the training goes on for a good period of time. And he says he wants to get more experience, and of course we end the flashback there, and we continue fighting. And of course the guy goes away, and then goes back to the flashback, where we get more training. And then we get to one of my favorite parts of the flashback. Danny versus Shunlo, this dragon. And you see that tattoo that's on his chest? Yeah. He battles him for a little while, and then he goes to that mark, squeezes him, and gets that mark burned to his chest. I hope this happens in the Iron Fist series. Despite the fact, yeah, here it's red, but it's normally depicted as black. So basically, even though that's kind of looks like a tattoo, it's actually the source of his power. Yep. And then he practices with his chi, and with this hot stuff, and then basically gets his hands to glow. And then the flashback kind of ends with him just wandering through the snow a bit. And then we go back to present day, where he faces against a guy called Scythe, where he just fights him for a few pages, a couple pages, and then goes back to the flashback of Danny basically in his Iron Fist costume, fighting more robots. And he says he wants to choose between eternal life and death. He says, "I'm ready." And then the guy tells him about the Jay tells him about the legend of Kunlun, of how basically it comes to Earth every 10 years. And it's like basically he wants to go find Harold Mitchell, the man who murdered his father. And basically it's revealed in this flashback that Jade is actually Iron Fist's uncle. Yep. And then Iron Fist just walks away, or tries to walk away, and then he gets attacked. Well, then we cut to present day, where he's still fighting Sith. He fights him for the last several pages, and then he's defeated. Yep. And then we cut to issue 17, where, yeah, this is basically it. This is the start. Yeah, the first two are kind of like standalone-ish issues in a way. Starting with this issue, it's the first story arc. Yep. Where he goes to Harold Mitchum's tower. Yeah, gotta love the splash page. There is a change of writer. This is the issue where Doug Moak starts his writing. Len Wein only wrote one issue, and Roy Thomas has now switched from co-plotter from what he was in the previous issue to now being the editor. And he's the editor for the rest of the series. Yep. So we have Iron Fist just walk across the street, walk to Mitch Industries. Well, we walk to a building owned by Harold Mitchum. Takes the elevator up. Then we flash back to kind of what happened previously, like of Wendell Randall's death. He gets to the top floor, he goes to the office, and then he comes across some booby traps. First, some spikes, then turret guns. Well, Harold Magnum's rich, so he can afford this stuff. After Danny gets through all that, he goes straight to the office, and it turns out it was actually into a stairwell. Okay. And it turns out that the stairwell itself is also booby-trapped. Lucky enough he checked that with a pole he picked up from one of the turret guns. As he takes out the booby trap, he walks up the stairs, and turns out the stairs themselves are also booby-trapped as well. Gets to the next floor, and then runs into 3 gunmen. Takes them out in just a couple pages. And the sprinklers come up for some reason, because, well, yeah, they get trapped in the room. He busts to a door, trying to get out of the room. Turns out the door goes right outside for some reason. Yep. Then he climbs to the building, breaks through some glass, runs and past the guy. Basically, this is the guy who actually he becomes a plot point in a minute, and he nearly falls to a floor, and it flashes back briefly to Wendell Randall how he died. Then he runs into like a giant wolf, and he runs into a wolf, battles him for a bit, defeats him, and apparently there's another chip involving gas, and he gets through it by. Well, actually, he takes an elevator, which is gas, and he basically battles through it by punching, using his Iron Fist chi, and punches right through the top of the elevator. And then he breaks through elevator doors, and then he's walking down the hallway, runs to a janitor, and turns out the janitor, it's Broom, actually has a katana in it. Yep. And they fight for a bit, and then he's defeated. Then we see the ninja again, where he just takes out the security camera. Well, and then of course the janitor guy disappears. And then the issue ends simply like he's still looking for Mitchum, and he runs to this guy, Triple Iron. And that is where I'm going to end it there. So, what do I think of these 3 issues? Good start. It's odd, though, to see the writer keep changing for the book, like versus Roy Thomas. Then it's Len Wein and Roy Thomas. Then it's Doug Moak. Okay, fine. Doug Moak, they're all 3 good writers. Their artwork only changed. The artist has only changed once. In the original issue, in the first appearance, it was Gail Kane. But starting with issue 16, it's Larry Hama, who actually draws the book for a good period of time. Yeah, he draws the book for a good period of time. But great start for this. I give all 3 issues a good 9 out of 10. Okay? Stay tuned for the next episode, where I'll cover issues 18 to 20. And no, the story arc is not get wrapped up there. It goes on for a good period of time. Okay, but until then, I will see you there. Bye.